Welcome, Hunters, to episode 8 of the Hunters Hub, a community podcast for hunters by hunters. Today is our first episode with all three co-hosts, with myself, Fortuan, Lobo, our newest co-host.
Hello.
And Wrath of Gog.
Yellow.
So, today we are talking about the beta, like everyone else. I got to play an extensive amount of it, a lot more than I thought I would. And then Loberin, how much did you get to play?
I got to play a decent amount. I could have played more, but I didn't actually know when the beta was ending. So when it was over, I was like, "Oh, whoops! Should have played a bit more." But
it's okay. It's coming back.
Yeah, it is coming back.
Yes.
And then Gog, as I understand, you didn't get to play any, but you watched a lot.
Yeah, I watched a lot. I watched a lot of streamers. I watched archived streams. It was fun.
Just curious, did you watch my stream at any point? Because I did see one watcher.
That was me.
That's funny. I think I'm going to be streaming whenever I play now. Like, that was actually not that bad.
Yeah.
It's easy to do and doesn't really give any, like, it doesn't really hurt anything for me to do it, so why not?
It's much easier to stream with a PS4 than on a computer, I can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do want to stream this game. I don't have I don't have a PS4, which is kind of the one thing I need. When it comes to PC, I might look into it.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly surprised how easy it was to do. So to start off, I wanted to talk about the multiplayer, and not so much dwelling on the fact of the whole PC gamer issue, where they were like, oh, the multiplayer sucks because you have to basically Nintendo friend code yourself into rooms. Because that's not really, everyone pretty much knows that's not really the case. That was just how they did the demo. So,
yeah, as far as we know, there's going to be a hub that you can have your friends joining into. You all hang out there, and then you go on quests together and can stay with your party just like every other Monster Hunter game. And most games in general, if they are set up this way.
This demo's multiplayer was handled the same way as the last one, though, wasn't it? Like, as Generations or 4U's demo, it was still, enter a code to play with others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, it's just, well, I mean, there's a lot of new people, and they don't know that, and they come and look at the game, and they're like, this is some Nintendo bull crap, and it's like,
yeah. It was funny.
That's not really how it is.
Every single streamer I watched, they were doing it, and they're like, "Oh, it's case sensitive." Oh my god, it was so funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you see typically if you see capitals and non-capitals, it's case sensitive. Mm-hmm. If they make a distinction between the two, it's case sensitive.
Yeah.
But more so, what I wanted to talk about is a lot of times I talk about the fact that I'm a solo hunter. This game brought everyone out of the woodworks that used to be a Monster Hunter fan. I am not kidding. So not only did I play with B-Cubed, which was on a previous episode, he said he was going to play though, so that's not too surprising. We also got our friend Gmo, which is a mutual personal friend that is not a Monster Hunter fan, but he was convinced he's actually boycotting Monster Hunter because he wanted it on the Switch when he got a Switch.
Oh, come on, man.
But I mean, he's just making excuses at this point because he's like, oh, it's going to be too long and I don't have the time to commit to it on the TV. Like I can't play a game like that too long. And I was like, dude, you play like Danganronpa and what is the Dissidia? You can play games that take a long time.
This guy had 2,000 hours gone. Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah, I played the demo for that. I'm not going to play it. Not my game.
No. It's fun, but there's a big difference.
Yeah. But so not only did my friends play with me, which normally don't, my original Monster Hunter 2, like Monster Hunter like PS2 days crew got on.
Wow.
They have not played with me since 2005.
That's crazy.
I have not even seen these guys since I left home when I moved out to live with my wife.
Wow.
It was like crazy. We were just catching up like nothing ever had changed. and like we are like 10 years removed, and
That's
then like
crazy.
this game brought us not 10 years, more like 8 years removed, but still. I was surprised, and they were getting into it, and of course they were OG hunters, so like they were really lost. They were like,
Oh yeah. Why don't I hunt with my analog stick? Where are the tank
yeah.
controls?
Well, I mean they weren't. They had played on, I think, never with me, but I think they had played at least on the Wii. Try was the last one. A couple
I was about
of
to
them
ask
played.
if they were claw hunters.
I don't think a lot of them were. I think a lot of them skipped the PSP days
Okay.
and then just played Try. One of them didn't, because we actually played together a couple times those days. But yeah, it was an experience. A lot of people came out to play the demo.
That's good.
Like I mean, we hit number 1 or number 2 on Twitch.
It was
that
number 1
weekend.
for a while, mostly because Lyric. But still.
Yeah. Still, that's something, right?
Yeah. For it being, I mean, it's a new game, and he decided to play it. That's still pretty cool that we got him to play it. I don't know if he's played the other ones.
I don't think he has. From what I heard, he had never.
From what I saw, I don't think so either. But one of the things I wanted to mention, though, in general, with people that I watched, was a lot of people that were new, and also a lot of those people were very successful playing. Like, they figured out what to do very quickly, which is good.
I do love seeing all the YouTube videos titled like "A noob taking down Rathalos," and you see like so many common mistakes, but at the same time you get to see, you get the fun feeling of like watching somebody else love what you love.
Well, it's so funny to watch
nice.
them at the beginning, Lyrics hanging out, and you see another streamer that I love to watch, Bikeman. He's jumping around with the insect glaive above him. He's like, "Oh my god, this is sweet," and all this stuff.
Bikeman,
And he's calling everything.
Bikeman was playing.
Yeah, he was playing with Lyric.
Oh man,
It was really funny.
I know him from Warframe, I think.
I love Bikeman. He's so funny. But yeah, watching him at the beginning be like, "Oh, that's such a cool class." Like using like just very mainstream descriptions of everything. Like seeing that coming into a game that is like the only thing I really play anymore. It's very funny to just see all these new people. And I was also very happy because they figured out how to get Diablos to jump through the ground on accident. Lyric at one point he was playing around with he found rocks and he figured out how to use the slinger. He's just shooting the birds in the sky and they're all roaring at him. And all of a sudden Diablos jumps out of the ground. I'll link it in the Discord, but it's actually one of the funniest things because he just is like, "Well, screw you guys," and he runs, and they're all freaking out, and the Diablos is up there, the Baroth's falling over because it just got trashed by the Diablos. They're all freaking out. It was great.
I like seeing somebody yelling. They're like, "Why can't I drink my potion?" as they're standing with their greatsword out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I'm pretty sure when you spam the square button, you actually automatically put away your weapon.
Some people turned it off, I heard.
Oh.
Some people turned off auto sheathing, which is weird.
I know a lot of people that that have normally played Monster Hunter did that because they're not used to switching between the buttons, which I get.
Yeah.
I think I saw a lot of people that were sheathing and unsheathing because they were trying to, block or something like that.
Yeah, I typically I got confused a couple times, especially when using the charge blade and the lance, where I would try to block and end up running instead just because of the button placement.
You just walk head on into the monster as it smashed you in the face.
Because I'm used to, the only ones I've really played were the 3DS ones, so having two R2 buttons consistently caused me problems.
Yeah.
It's something I figure we'll get used to over time, though.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good transition to talk about what we wanted to start off with, which was, not start off with, but what we wanted, big thing we wanted to talk about is the weapons. So we're going to run down just 3 weapons each. I don't think we're going to talk about all of them today, just because I don't feel like we would have enough time to talk about all of them. Yeah. It's a lot to talk about.
Definitely.
First and foremost, I started out with Charge Blade because, as some of you know, I am super into Charge Blade. Granted, then I started playing, getting used to new controls and that kind of stuff. I was having a good time with it, and the new attack, which is kind of hard to do if you don't know how to do it, because it's not really spelled out that well in the inputs, even though it's said, is the charging up the sword thing.
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out until I watched the video of somebody doing it.
You have all of your normal combos with the Charge Blade. I do believe that as far as like basic things, nothing has changed as far as inputs. Once you have charged up your shield into a red shield, I mean, maybe even yellow. I never got to a yellow because all I ever do is red. So the action of filling up the files from like charging it up, where he sort of shoves the sword into the shield and sort of loads the files. You then press triangle on the PlayStation. I guess it'll be, what is it?
Y on the Xbox.
Why? It's been so many years. At Xbox. Yeah, the top button. We'll just say that. Let's just say the top button.
Okay.
You press that and hold it while that animation is happening, and then it sort of locks it in, and that allows it to charge up the sword. But it's only if your shield is already charged. So that's the kind of thing that threw me off. It's telling you the input, but it doesn't tell you need to have red shield first. So, and it doesn't last. Yeah, you have to hold it too.
And you have to hold it.
It's not extremely long, but it's some amount of time. I got hit a couple times just trying to do it, just because it does leave you a little bit open. But it's strong. It is really strong.
Yeah, because it does 60 damage, I think, on the main slam, and then also you're boosting your damage in general.
Yeah, they call it elemental mode or something like that, elemental blade, and it's supposed to boost the element on the weapon. So that's cool.
Did the actual? I noticed that there were small impact bursts whenever you were using the sword when it was red. I also noticed that you had some kind of mind's eye when you were using it too. It seemed like it was much easier to hit harder sections of the monster, like Baroth's head, when you were using it in your video.
Yeah. I don't think it's full mind's eye, but I think it acted at least a little bit sharper.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's full mind's eye. It could be.
Also, besides the small impact damage that it was adding, which was 2, was it actually boosting the damage of your sword like a little bit? Besides that 2.
Oh, it was definitely boosting damage in that mode.
Okay.
I'm not sure that it was impact damage though. I think that's just like extra like energy or whatever damage. Because the impact damage actually has a different sound now, which is cool. It was at least how I heard it. It was different to play with. But the thing that I enjoyed the Charge Blade. It's definitely strong. A lot of people are really enjoying it. And as a Charge Blade main, I was definitely enjoying it, but I was having troubles with it. And it took me a long time to figure out why. Because I was trying to guard point also. I like guard pointing. It's fun to do. And guard pointing is still in the game. I pulled it off several times. But I realized the reason for me why it was harder to do, there's no longer a visual cue. And that's something...
Yeah. Like in Generations, there isn't one.
Oh, there's no little blink?
And like, I love that in Generations. A
lot of people... a little white shield go swing.
Yeah, you'd have like a little white animation to go in front of you.
That was a sound effect too, because it goes... Shpf.
Right, and it was a good indicator that you did it right. It kind of helped teach you when that's happening. So you had a better idea, like a better cue of how you're guard pointing and when. And I was trying to do some of the guard points that are specific to Adept. Like there's the really long guard point, just doing the A slash, where you bring up the shield. When you're charging up the A, I think it's a full time. It's like a guard point or a block or something. So like, it's a huge one. And I kept trying to do that and it wasn't there. So I got hit a lot. So instead of like dodging or blocking what I should have been, I was just standing there holding A. But but I did not feel like I was doing well. In fact, I was sort of pseudo timing myself against Jagras, one of my worst times was the Charge Blade. And it wasn't that the weapon's strong, less strong than any other weapons, that kind of thing. It's
Definitely
literally
not
just...
it's definitely
Yeah,
not
no, it's definitely good. And I felt that in like when I was actually in the right cadence doing things once I sort of changed my mindset. Mm-hmm. But honestly, the way that it works in Generations, I actually like that more than 4U personally, just because of the visual cues and that kind of stuff. And when it was going into the AD after a guard point, that was actually throwing me off. Now, granted, one of the coolest things is your shield doesn't go away after you do a full burst. It stays. That is broken. Cool.
Yes.
It just expends your files. And it's like, holy cow, that is awesome.
I have a question about that full burst, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Does the damage go up if you have charged blade as well?
I don't think so.
It seemed
I wasn't really paying attention to the numbers as much.
Okay, I just asked because I noticed it looked like there was more sparks when somebody had sword and the shield and charged up than when it was just the shield. But I could be very wrong.
I could see it doing more. I can understand why it would, at least. But I didn't feel like it did. But then again, like, this is not really a good place to figure out like a lot of damage numbers and that kind of stuff. Because I mean,
I'm definitely sure it's all going to be subject to change, especially since in a beta they are testing it.
Right. Yeah. There definitely could be some bounce. One of the so. All of that said, I actually did not enjoy the Charge Blade as much as I thought I would. It's really cool, but you guys are going to be surprised. I'm going to transition to my next weapon, which is now going to be my new main, which is Longsword.
I loved it.
So I am probably going to still play Charge Blade from time to time, but Longsword has surpassed it for me.
It surprises me.
Yeah, and I figured it would because I was so hard on Charge Blade for the past 2 games. It's just I loved it, but the Generations way that it plays is just how I like to play it. I use Axe mode fairly regularly, and this thing kind of feels like it punishes you for using Axe mode. You know what I mean? Like it's like use it for AD and nothing else because there's no reason.
Yeah.
Not to just blast and that kind of stuff. So, Longsword, I feel like a freaking ninja.
Yes.
This thing, holy cow. So, Longsword has always been about mobility. Fade slashing has always
Fade slash is the thing.
Yeah. You're dodging, you're left and right. And that's why Longsword has always been my number 2 after Hammer in the older games. When I was like, I definitely need a tail, right? So I would switch to Longsword. So I've always kind of liked Longsword, but I've never really got into it. I also had a bad stigma for tripping people and that kind of thing. So I just didn't, even though I played solo, I just, it kind of follows. It's like, I don't want to be that guy, but whatever. I like it, but my goodness, Longsword, you feel like a freaking ninja in this one. And the new attacks, the counter and the vault basically is what I'll call them.
I think it was called
Holy
the
cow.
or something.
Yeah, it's too complicated. Yeah, it's a vault. So, it's basically the aerial style, and I'm not even kidding. It's like an aerial style attack.
Except it actually has an animation besides little glitty white lines.
Yeah. Other than those 2 moves, Longsword feels exactly the same as it did.
Mm-hmm. That's actually the reason it surprised me that you liked it so much. Like there was such an improvement because
it's the other 2 attacks that really bring it up. I mean, it honestly is. So what I do is, you do the normal thing like you're attacking, you do your spirit combo, you get up to the next level, and then when I hit red, the max level, I would immediately try to do the vault, because then like you don't lose gauge.
Yeah,
so then
it regenerates, correct? If you
I'm
connect
not
with the
sure
attack.
if it regenerates or not, but it doesn't decrease over time at least.
Yeah.
So then it does drop you down a level, but I mean you only need to go up one level. So I immediately just go into another spirit combo and ta-da.
It does
but on top
max
of that,
out your spirit gauge though.
yeah. So like you're like I feel like I was just like on top of my game the whole time. I was fade slashing out of the way. I was tripping monsters left and right, cutting tails. The only thing I felt like I wasn't doing well enough, and I think that's just because Baroth's health was, not as good as it should be. It was going down too quickly. Is breaking off his head crest. That didn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
I think you need impact for it.
You probably used to, because that's one of those things that they used to like require impact for things.
In Try, you needed impact.
Yeah, I don't know. I only used impact and Try, so I wouldn't have never noticed. But I was just like that was the only thing I felt like, oh man, I wish I could have done that. But other than that, like I was just like destroying this guy left and right, and you can still carve scalps too, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And I think you can take off the crest on a mount.
Really?
Probably. I think. I don't know.
It would make sense because you're damaging the head.
Yeah.
I mean, you can cut off tails by doing that.
Yeah. Which, oh man, the mount with a longsword, you just like jab it in. It's just like.
There was an animation when you were playing the longsword in your live stream, and it was. I think it might have just been the way that the Anjanath's head was moved and the way you stabbed, but you stabbed directly in his eye and then rip it out, and it looked great. I know it doesn't really matter, but it looks so cool. Yeah,
it definitely looks cool. So I enjoyed the longsword quite a bit. I felt like a freaking ninja. And the counterattack, holy cow. That is so fun to pull off.
It's also cool because you can do it where I'm pretty sure when you turn around, you like immediately can do like a double spirit slash thing.
Yeah, you can follow it up with a lot of things.
It's crazy.
So yeah, it's really good. It's so fun because you get to keep on the offense so much.
That was the main focus of longsword. Now they've definitely popped that up a bit with the fact that you can drop the spirit gauge to have that cool attack and then make it back and do it again and again and again.
The counterattack, it's kind of like an adept dodge, if you think about it. And then, on top of that, you get the aerial style, like, stab. So, like, it's so cool to have, like, those styles, like, sort of integrated into the weapon. That's the one where I felt it the most. I don't feel like the Charge Blade changed hardly at all, except for the sword mode, which was fine. I like the sword mode, but it's just, like, I don't know. This longsword impressed me far more.
I will say I'm happy. One thing just going back to the Charge Blade, one thing I thought was cool, though this is never going to matter because you're never going to use this now that they've brought back the old Charge Blade. The normal triangle now combo for the axe, the overheads, are much, much quicker, which is really nice. Because
I was
were
using
incredibly
those.
slow. The only problem is that they're useless now, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, they're not useless. If it's down and you really want to cut the tail, it's really good damage just straight on the tail.
Yeah, and also the one where you swipe upwards to hit the tail still has some of the highest reach in the game. As the Charge Blade axe mode is that upward swing. If you really got to knock Rathalos out of the sky, there you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the switch axe uppercut and the gun lance uppercut with the shell are the highest attacks in the game if you're not including the fact that Encyclave can defy gravity.
Yeah.
I
was going to say, just as a disclaimer, I didn't say this before, but I did beat Jagras and Baroth with every weapon and fought Anjanath with every weapon.
Nice.
So I have used all the weapons for at least a half hour each.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, what weapons could you not kill Anjanath with?
A lot of them. Well, because...
Did you solo him, or were you trying to...
Most of the time is multiplayer. Is the problem. and it was me and one other person, and I don't think I ever killed Anjanath with just me and one other person. Now, this is because the other people I played with are not experienced hunters. So, there's the thing of finding Anjanath, right? Anjanath, I think, was the hardest one for me to find.
He seems to be the roamer.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like, you can probably see it in some of the live stream that I did, which, if anyone's interested, you just go to Twitch TV/Fortuan or whatever the link is. It's my one saved video out there. It's horrible, by the way, quality wise. It's literally one-way audio with me in a party chat and my kids screaming in the background for half of it. So
it is very funny to see you slashing at something and then be like, put that down.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not high quality, but yeah, you can probably see it in my stream where we attempt Anjanath a couple times and we just can't take it down fast enough. I know in two instances we had it limping and we were almost there, and we just lost time. He just got away from us or something. But yeah. So what did you think about the longsword?
So my thing with longsword, it was really fun, but longsword is my most used weapon in 4U by far. And I kept playing it like it was 4U, expecting trying to lock in my spirit gauge, because in 4U, when your spirit gauge declined, you went back to no charge. Not like, red to yellow to white. You just went back to nothing. So I kept trying to play it like that. The other issue I had too was whenever I went to do, like, whenever a monster went to attack me, I would dodge, and then after the fact would think, oh, I could have used that, spirit counter there. And that was my biggest problem, was just I am so used to playing it the way I always have that I kept forgetting to use the new things.
So kind of like what happened with me in Charge Blade.
Also, I missed like 90% of the spirit poke to sky jump combos. Like, I would hit the poke and then just slash it absolutely nothing and get like hip checked by a monster. Like,
I think I missed the poke a lot.
I couldn't.
Or did you ever notice if you poked like the back leg of an Anjanath and you jumped up and you hit the tail, you actually fell? You actually wouldn't go through the monster?
Yeah,
that happened a lot to me.
How do you actually aim the downward slash part? Do you have to turn your character on the way up or on the way back down? Because I missed.
You don't really
attempt.
Do a lot. I think it just goes forward and just does it behind you.
Oh, okay.
So
I think it's pretty set.
What I saw was that if you're kind of trying to go a certain way, that's where you're going to slash. Like, if you're trying to move a certain way beforehand, because it was when they swung up that they would, like, right at the apex of their, like, slash, they would then point the way that they wanted to. So it seemed as if it was them trying to do it before that move, it would show them do that move, and then they were stuck in that animation of them slashing down as they hit the ground. They weren't turning mid-drop. So I will say this might actually be really helpful for me not having played, because I will say when you watch someone playing, you can get so much more information, numbers and visual wise. It's really funny.
Yeah, because in the moment you're like, how do I do this? Like,
yeah, it was so funny to see people that were having trouble noticing the combos and stuff, and it was purely because they're trying to focus on not dying, whereas I'm just looking at it peacefully, going, oh look, they could have used that button. Use that button. No, it didn't do it. Use it. Oh, no, they didn't do it. It's because they're not paying attention to it. I'm expecting them to do something. Because I'm not playing.
So, like, I really enjoyed the longsword. So I think it's going to be my main. And I think I'm going to have 2 backups, which Charge Blade, and then the third one, which I'm going to talk about, is just Lance. Lance has always been... I've always not used it because... ever since I started hunting with my brother around the PSP titles, he's always been the Lance guy. So I never really touched it too much because that was his territory. That was, it's just something he liked. And I've never really been that impressed with Lance. I'm not really into evade lancing. The whole, like, poke, jump back, poke, jump back. It just felt boring. Right? Yep. I've never liked that.
Excuse me, sir.
And this
that's
one,
poke. poke jump back, they get 3.
Well, yeah.
Or
yeah,
try poke, counter, poke, counter, poke, counter, poke.
Yeah. But
which was the greatest thing ever.
There was something about the new counter. No, it's not new, but the counter.
You're less.
Then
stuck
there was
into
like the
it.
super guard, like that was cool. There's just like all sorts of like I felt like it was really fun. But what really hooked me is the charge, and the fact that the charge like speeds up as you go.
Yes.
So it is hilarious to start charging and then run down a hill and and you're going like 90 miles an hour and you just slam into
I actually got a kill that way and it was amazing.
That's awesome. I didn't figure out how to jump up. A lot of people were jumping up from the charge. I know that's not new.
I think you just dodge. I think you like
B.
yeah, because I know you can.
I knew you could side dodge
in the normal game.
Yeah.
I also know that in this you can dodge to the side really quick with like phase to the left and right, which is crazy.
Lance has always had a very weird position for me. I don't specifically take it in the hunts until I hit that really frustrated F it, I can't beat this monster point. Like, if I get really frustrated with a monster, I will grab a lance, and if I'm in, Generations, time to turtle down with a shield. And if I was in 4U, it's like, all right, time to grab my evasion +3 set. I guess we're getting this done. Like, it's not something I specifically picked if I wanted to hunt. It was something I picked because I got frustrated and pissed off at a monster.
I agree. It's a weapon for me that I use when I can't beat something with the weapons I want to use. Right. I want to use gun lance. I have too many openings. I don't do enough damages because I only like to I love to full burst and it doesn't do enough damage. What can I use? Okay, like I'm trying to be a Cantor. He's being really annoying. I'm just going to use my lance and stab him in the chest from below for 15 minutes and then watch him die. Same with Shigaru. I did the same thing with him.
Did you ever get off a mount with a lance in the demo?
Oh, yeah.
I nominate Lance. Their mount finisher is the lamest mount finisher in the game.
No. Light bowgun.
Poke it harder.
It's over.
I don't know. I kind of like the Lance one. Except the one that... the one for the Lance that confused me is it pokes behind you or something like that. Like the positioning is weird. I don't know. You can see it in the video on my stream, but
so you have a little bit of a hitbox behind you when you stab, correct? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's something weird. Like because I was on the.
It's always been like that. Like the whole entire weapon is still considered damaging.
Yeah, I was on the tail, and I executed the finishing thing on the mount while I was on the tail, and it hit it in the center of the back, as far as the animation goes, and I was like, that feels weird. I was trying to cut off the tail. I guess it's not going to cut off the tail. So maybe I could have been in the wrong spot. It's hard to tell with Baroth when he has a bunch of mud on him.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a whole different thing. I was thinking of just when you're on the ground. I know that you can kind of stab things with the base of the lance, and it seems really weird.
Oh, yeah. That's just a hitbox thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did like that you don't consume stamina when charging if there's nothing around you. So you are the fastest moving thing in the game.
Yes, that is the weapon, and I love it. Actually, my daughter loved it too. She was very much enjoying. You actually hear it on the stream, us going choo choo, both of us. So it's funny. Well, the one thing.
I mean, you could totally, if you just got a compilation of people with that, and then a compilation of people with the hammer spinning through the air, you could totally do, a whole Sonic remix.
Do you know if they're going to be having dash... I don't know if anybody's seen it in any of the demos or gameplay demonstrations. Are we going to get dash juice for infinite stamina? I need to know.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. And that's only because I've watched a couple things with Eric's talking about it. And Sox has been on stream, and he's agreeing with him. It'll be real P when we get dash juice. So I'm assuming that it's in there if Sox is saying that. So,
especially I love the lance. The whole now when you're charging too, you can run up a wall, flip off, and then continue charging.
Yeah.
Away from the wall again.
Oh yeah.
Infinite charge for the win.
That's great.
Because holy cow. The
It was so funny to see for the first time people running up walls and attacking, because you don't really notice how versatile it
doing
is
it.
until you're fighting Rathalos in that little nest and you can't hit him on the ground, and you see all these people just flying up the walls and attacking it
Yeah.
off the sides. It's very airy.
Yep. So the only thing that I had left to say about Lance is that it was another weapon I felt like I could just be on the offensive, and that's always been true of Lance, but I've never used Lance that much before, and just the slight changes that they made to it made it like that much more enjoyable to me. Now I think if I really had to pick, I think it would probably be my third weapon, with Charge Blade being the second, because I mean I still enjoy the Charge Blade. It's too awkward for me not having those animations now, but the Lance, I had so much fun just charting around the map and stuff. It was just so hilarious.
Did you make use of those charge slides or that jump triple poke thing?
I never jumped. I said that earlier, but the charge,
or it's not a jump, but not when you're charging, but like as you're guarding, you can kind of do a side hop, forward hop, and back hop while guarding instead of just doing an evade. There's like a guard.
Yeah,
evade,
I used it a couple times.
It looks really fun, but I never did that when I was playing it, so I must have missed that somehow.
That seems really versatile that you can guard,
Yes.
advance, left,
Yeah,
and right, and back.
that's what helps keep you on the offensive.
That's really useful.
Literally, you're like, I'm not moving my position. You don't ever have to give up your position, which is really cool to me. I've always liked that fantasy of sort of like a guarding advance in different games. So like that's kind of stuck with me.
It's also very cool because they've done a lot with shields in general. A lot of shields you can move around with now.
Mm-hmm.
The more mobile shields that were mobile already, you still have a lot of movement.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cool.
Yeah, and I noticed just in general, weapons in general, you keep them out a lot longer this time. You don't just
mobility.
Sheathe.
Yeah,
mobility is 100% increase on everything.
Yeah, it's
definitely a focus.
Yeah, because it used to be like, okay, they moved out. I gotta sheathe and run over to them, and this time you're like, nope, I'm just gonna drop my guard or just walk over there. Like, I know that Greatsword I very rarely sheathe, and Greatsword is like the infinite sheather.
Yeah. It was weird that also they gave, with the exception of Lance, all the melee weapons that had rolls, having a back roll on them was weird. In all the weapons that had little dashes, having a forward dash is weird. Like, it's something that I was so not used to. I kept accidentally doing a little dash forward with my guns because I'm so used to just back hopping with guns.
I know if I was able to play this demo and I was using my gun lance or my lance, or mostly using gun lance, honestly. I know I would be doing a lot of reverse back hops all the time, trying to get towards the monster and be like, oh, I can literally just dash forward.
Yeah. So
that's definitely ingrained in me, is turning really quickly and back hopping.
Yeah. So from there, what about you, Lober?
So my first weapon I want to talk about, you're talking about weapons that go on the offensive 24/7. And Switch Axe is wonderful now. A lot of people are going to say they didn't change too much. Actually, the axe is very different now.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Not only did they improve the combos and the movement between the attacks on the axe mode, in terms of pretty much every attack can transition between sword and axe, which is something I believe was taken from Brave Switch Axe in Generations 2. But there's that, and also the fact that they made the A button the dedicated I don't remember what it's actually called, the whirlwind slashes left and right button. It's a dedicated button just for that now, so we don't have to do this huge wind up just to do that. You can just hit A and start doing the left and right slashes, which is
there's
it's wonderful.
That's amazing.
It seemed to also do a little bit more damage. I could be very wrong there, but it seemed to do a lot more damage, and also with the mobility, everything felt like it moved a lot more, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. And then the sword mode. The fact that they changed those buttons around as well, like the A button does the cool double slash into jump up, jump down attack,
swish into the air,
which felt amazing. Like it just feels like a much more berserker style weapon. So it's actually differentiated between other weapons.
Yeah.
And it was
for everybody who has ever wanted to play Xenoblade without turns and actually like do cool things with your Xenoblade, play Switch X.
One thing I noticed is they changed the sound effects as well. Previously I'd noted in when you did the elemental discharge, oh crap, what's the PlayStation buttons? On the Nintendo, it's X and A, and the PlayStation is triangle
and O.
So circle, when you did that and charged it up, and when it exploded, it sounded like a Star Wars blaster going off. You heard that?
Yeah.
But now in the PlayStation version, it sounds like a proper explosion, and all the visuals match very well with it. Like the updated elemental effects look really good with Switch X. So overall, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I enjoyed stabbing monsters in the side and riding them while exploding. Just it's just
that was
the dramatics weapon.
I'm really surprised how much affection the actual new sound effects and visual effects are getting now that people have actually been able to play the game.
Yeah.
Most of what I saw was a lot of people saying they don't sound good, and then once they played the game, the actual feeling of it, going with that together, felt a lot better. It was more impactful and bassy, and you just couldn't tell.
Yeah, I was going to say, the bass helps.
Yes.
Yeah, because you put the bass in there, and you're like, I actually feel like I'm hitting things. I think it was the hammer, the charge blade, and the hunting horn. Those three, when they're doing impact damage, holy cow.
You feel it.
You definitely feel it. Especially the hammer. I think the hammer, gosh, I came very close to saying I'm just going to main hammer again. But yeah.
Have you uncapped like the potential of the hammer by putting it into the charge state and all that crap?
What do you mean? Like uncapped?
Like have you put it into the you know how you can be charged?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't do that. Yeah.
Oh, I need to show you some footage.
One thing I wanted to point out too was on a technical gameplay standpoint, previous games I'd always played the Switch X a lot in sword mode because it did the most, and so every time I ran out of sword mode, I'd quickly just reload it and go back to sword. I never reloaded my sword. That's such a weird sentence. I never reloaded my sword once in the beta.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I would go back to axe mode, and axe mode actually felt fun and exciting and quick, and it charged up pretty fast. Like I never had a problem of like, come on, get the max charge so I can use sword. No, it was always like pretty much ready to go after doing some axe shenanigans and whirlwind slash, and then the big whirlwind finisher into sword transition. Yeah. By the time I was done with that, my gauge was full and ready to use sword mode. So I think they just bettered that progression so it feels more fluid.
Yeah, I've noticed that the sword mode meter comes back incredibly fast. I completely agree.
And I hope that's not just a demo thing, because if that's just a beta thing, I'm going to be sad. But because it feels much better being quick like that.
Yeah. I was thinking, because I saw a video of someone using the Switch X, I think it was Kanta just playing around with it, and he was doing really well, and he was like never reloading. And I was like, huh.
I do think the reason they did that, though, is because the jab into big explosion, you use much more often. Previously, in games, you wouldn't use it as much because it was better just to keep slashing. But since now you can embed yourself in the monster more and it goes off a little bit faster and does a little bit better damage, I think it's encouraging you to use that move more often. So that's why they increase the gauge regeneration.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the thing I think it was Kanta. He was talking, like he answered one of my comments and he had said something about how it reloads so little now. There's almost no need to reload at all, and it's better to just go into the X mode because you do way more damage, which is awesome because I've said it before. One of the biggest flaws with Switch X was the fact that you could reload because it ruined the point of having two different parts of the weapon. You would just use the sword because it did so much damage, and the axe was practically useless besides the slash back and forth.
Right.
And I'd always said, please, Capcom, fix that. And they did. They actually did. They've also fixed Gunlance more or less. Like they're finally on top of things. I'm liking it.
But that's really all I had to say about the Switch X. It's just, it's more switchy. It's more axy. It's more explodey.
Well, I had one comment left on that.
Oh?
I thought it was really interesting that when you start out, you're carrying a Switch X in this game. Before you switch weapons, you start out with a Switch X.
Really?
I don't know why they did that.
Complicated weapons.
Yeah. Like, I was like, why I thought they would start you with Sword and Shield. Nope.
Yep.
Switch X. Everyone was like, why? What is this? Like, my friend that played with me on stream was like, I don't even know this weapon because he hadn't played. He's like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's the Switch X. I was like, hold on a minute. They started you with a Switch X? Oh, they started me with a Switch X. What's up with this? Like,
yeah, I don't... It's weird because Switch Axe, like, I guess they're maybe trying to be like, hey, look at the cool weapon.
It is a pretty
Switch Axe
flashy
is
weapon.
Difficult. Yeah, Switch Axe is kind of a difficult thing to learn, and unless you know how to use it, you're not going to get the cool things.
Well, I will say this, though. When you're in sword mode, you don't necessarily have to push any specific order of triangle
it
or
just looks cool
circle.
all the
you
time.
can just spam X or circle.
yeah.
Or, sorry,
so
circle or
cool.
triangle, and it'll do things.
It looks so cool when it does it, too.
And eventually, maybe you'll hit R, and then you'll find out, oh, there's another thing. So it's a simpler weapon. And honestly, everybody used to say Sword and Shield was the beginner weapon, but playing it now, it's
Yeah,
Sword and Shield's more
Shield,
tactical.
you have to be on your game. You have to be
Sword
on
and
your
Shield seems, at least for the beta, it seems to be a little bit less damage inputting.
But that's
Which
not
is
the
kinda
weapon I
worrying,
wanted to talk
but-
about, though.
Yep. So what's next?
Next, I'm just going to lump the bowguns together. I know some people will get upset about that, but for the sake of conversation speed, yeah, bowguns together at the same time. I like the changes. The ammo changes, it seems like recoil just across the board is a lot less, which in a game about improving mobility is wonderful because it wasn't fun loading in like a piercing 3 weapon and just firing one shot, wait 2 seconds, fire another, obviously you could build for that, but it just it wasn't as fun.
Yeah.
I like the ammo changes as well. Like the names confused me. Like I was like sticky shot, what is that? But
Crag.
at the time I was like, I don't know what sticky shot is. And then
I mean the moment I shot it, I knew what it was. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I love the cluster change. I know a lot of people who hate it, but I love the cluster change. I love
the mortar shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes more sense too, because it's a lot harder to miss with the mortar shot now. Because in previous games, I had so many times I'd fire off like a cluster shot, and it would like go underneath the wing and then out the back and do nothing. I'm like, oh great, that's wasted.
Oh yeah.
Now it's going to hit the top of the body.
Yeah.
But now being able to rain down mortar fire, which I only played single player for this beta. I didn't try out demo because every time I tried, it just said room full, so I just kind of gave up.
Yeah.
But in single player, the cluster fire was amazing. The second the monster went down, I would immediately just switch to my cluster fires, fire off all 3 ones, then switch over to 2, then fire off all 3 2s. But in multiplayer, I don't know if any of you guys experienced this, I imagine that's going to be absolutely terrifying for every melee hunter that's near that monster.
So as a joke hunt, I don't know if it's in the stream that I saved or not, but this is when I essentially decided I was going to be a longsword main. So you'll see me at some point just start using longsword. And the only thing that we could take down as a group was Baroth, as hard as I go, because the guys I was playing with, they're not that great, but they were just having fun with it. So we just decided to take down Baroths. There is one of the hunts where it is 3 heavy bowgunners and me on a longsword, and everyone is using cluster shot. Everyone. And I am just like getting bounced around. I cannot get near the monster.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it just feels better too. Like it's, instead of just being these little dinky explosions, the clusters look like big explosions.
Oh yeah.
I didn't try light bowgun as much. I heard a lot of great things about the elementals changes. And I never really tried. My thing is, when I tried light bowgun, I looked for like the green ammo highlighted to designate rapid fire, I didn't see the green highlights because they changed how rapid fire is designated. So I just passed off on light bowgun, and I said, like, they didn't give us a good light bowgun. I'll just go play something different.
So many people thought the same thing. So many people were like, there's no rapid fire, there's no siege, what's the point of any of these weapons? And they ignored them. And I was like, they're kind of still there. I mean,
say
Heavy Bowgun lost
just
siege.
circle now.
Heavy Bowgun lost siege.
Yes,
but...
I am a little upset that siege, siege proper is gone.
Yeah.
But I do like the rapid fire type.
It's still there. It's just you can move now. It's a Gatling gun instead of a turret. I mean, that's really the difference.
It's
more just a bonus.
Like firing your ammo in siege mode. No,
it's a bonus endless amount of ammo of something really cool.
That said, I actually prefer I don't remember what's actually called, the sniper shot type of special ammo versus the Gatling gun, because the Gatling gun was all right. But the sniper shot, it's piercing, and then it explodes, and it's flashy, and it comes back. It was just fun. Every single time it was ready is when the monster was running away. So I had time to fire it off every single time. And it was just so satisfying.
I watched, I think it was Flick's Gaming stuff. I can't remember what his YouTube is called. But anyway, he had a stream where he was using the sniper shot, and I remember seeing the numbers, and it was a whole bunch of little numbers, and it got greater and greater to like 325s and 240s. Jeez. Which is a lot.
Yeah. There's a cool GIF out there where somebody actually, I think I have it saved. If I can find it, I'll send it to you guys. But it's somebody who gets a double monster kill with a snipe shot. It looks so amazing because it's just like this giant explosions going on and stuff like that. Nice. And it's like, oh yes. So
I also like how when you use sniper shot in the water, you just lay underwater.
Oh yeah,
it's beautiful.
There's a lot of things unfortunately I can't judge because while there was a lot of cool stuff, my biggest problem with the bow guns and demos is you can't judge it without being able to make your own bow guns and stuff, because they give you a bow gun that can shoot like every ammo type, so that way you can try every ammo type.
Yeah, you don't get, like, when I played bow guns, when I'd never played them before, I didn't know how to optimize them, so I'd be like, wow, this is boring. And then I finally went and I was like, I'm going to make a Pierce bow gun. It has like no recoil, it's light bow gun, it shoots Pierce 2 at 3 shots at a time, or like an element, like lightning. And then you run up to a monster, you just get it like the longest distance of their body, like the meatiest sections. You just fire through them a whole bunch, like Uragan with water. And you just demolish the monster. It feels so good. But you can't do that in this.
I will point this out as well. I love being able to move while firing. I love being able to have a proper analog while firing. That's the greatest thing ever, is having a controller.
The aiming was just so good. Yeah.
And then a minor one, which a lot of people aren't going to care about because some of the people who main bow guns are like, well, I already know critical range. I love that your reticle shows you critical range. Like, it'll tell you right off the bat, no, you're too far out of range, or no, you're not in critical. So you don't have to worry, am I close enough? Am I too far away? The fact that they actually showed that off is nice. Because when you get in range, a little second ring will appear that lets you know, hey, yeah, you're in critical range. And I found myself blind firing a lot less. Like in the 3DS ones, I don't ever pull up my scope, generally. I just turn my camera, or even turn to fire into the camera sometimes. And I know that's not, I should be aiming at weak spots because that's optimal, but I tend to just blind fire because I know vaguely where my hunter's facing. I never had to do that because I'd like, with a PlayStation controller, you can aim and, move your camera around. So it's a very different, but I like the changes.
To be fair, they could have done that with the Wii U and the Switch.
Totally.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. But I'm just talking between the 3DS and the PS2.
Oh, yeah, the 3DS
PS4
controls.
Yeah.
And also, to be fair, the 3U was for 3DS and for the Wii U. And...
yeah, they just kept the 3DS controls,
They just stuck with 3DS.
Yeah.
I was going to say...
and then also, the Wii couldn't really use a second analog stick because it didn't have one. There wasn't enough buttons. And they did at the Pro controller, but that's a whole different thing.
The one thing I was going to say about the bow guns is that they were not liked by a lot of people who were even like experienced hunters for a long time, because of the sort of limited aiming and that kind of stuff. But some people really liked them. Every single one of my friends who would never touch bow guns. In fact, I'm talking about like my OG hunting crew back in 2004, 2005. I was the bow gunner. I was the heavy bow gunner back in those days. And I was okay with it, but they would never touch it. They hated it. All of them were like, I want a heavy bow gun. Like, all of them were like, this is amazing. So that said something if they can improve the heavy bow gun at least that much. I don't think they tried the light bow gun, but like all of them were like, this is amazing. And they hated bow gunning before. Now, granted, this is a huge leap. We're talking Gen 1 to Gen 5 bow gunning, but whatever.
Well, from what I understand, in Gen 1, there was only two viable endgame weapons, that being like greatsword and heavy bowgun, just because there was no like super high sharpness or anything, so everybody either ended up using one or the other.
Lance was always up there.
Oh, really?
A lot of people use Lance.
You said there was people who didn't like the bowguns like that in the new demo?
Some people, yeah. But
I
just like, that's just general people on the Reddit saying that. But
yeah, okay. I saw people that didn't like it purely because they were losing what the weapon used to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that used bowguns specifically. I don't really see too many people that like to use bowguns and other things, which is funny. It's a very different game when you play melee and versus range.
I admit it is a different weapon than what it used to be, but everything's a different weapon than what it used to be due to the game changing. Like, originally I was upset because, as I was trying to explain to my friend, I liked the stiffness of Monster Hunter. I liked how for a bowgun you have these animation times and you have all that. It's the same argument as to drinking a potion while moving versus flexing.
Yeah, it's a commitment of action. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes there is like you were talking about the rapid fire siege mode thing that we have now versus traditional siege mode. And part of me liked traditional siege mode because of I'm committing to doing this damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
But at the same time, after playing the new one and analyzing the new one, it wouldn't have fit in this new one, I don't think.
No. And I think something that you can see is there's still a commitment, but there's an option to renege on that commitment at a loss. So the easiest way to explain this is the potions. It used to be a full, let's just say 5-second commitment to drink a potion. That's probably longer than it was. Let's just say 5 seconds, right?
Right.
One and done, you drank the potion, you got the full effect. Now, let's say that 5 second is spread out over time, right? You can bail in the middle of that, but you still got your 2.5 seconds of potion, but your potion is now only 50% as effective as it was. So that I think there's a lot of that going on in the movement system. It's like you have this commitment of an action, but if you bail out, you've lost the benefit of it entirely. Instead of just the more rigidity of the older games, I think it's always been purposeful as a commitment of action. But I think this sort of modernization of that idea, I would say, I think it works. I think that was my biggest concern going in, for me personally, and the EKG meter. But that seems to be fine. Now, just a quick thing on the EKG meter: didn't look at it once, never noticed it.
Yeah,
I was about to ask you that because I knew you were going to say that.
I did it to click between the three, click right stick to tell my flies which one to actually pay attention to.
Yeah, I did that.
That's about it.
Yeah, it wasn't even a thing on my mind, and they still kept the limping and everything, so the true mechanic is still there, so it's good.
And it's so tiny and out of the way too. It's not even like it's forced in your face of look at this.
Right? Yeah,
you can look if you want.
Who said that was gonna happen?
I did have a thing I did want to bring up though with bowguns too, and it's a very small one that most people probably don't notice because a lot of people don't care. Every weapon or every ammo type is already loaded.
Yes, yeah,
As
you
you're
don't
switching
load
it
it.
forward, you don't have to reload every time you change an ammo type, which is amazing.
Yeah, isn't it once you load all the shots?
Well, no, that's the thing. You don't even have to load all the shots. Like, you start off the fight, or you start off landing in base camp, every shot type is loaded. Mm-hmm. And then you still have to reload them individually.
Yeah.
But something that somebody pointed out to me, there is a full reload still. Because you can switch between, fire everything. And then if you sit and reload, if you just hold reload, you'll proceed to just load them all.
You do like a
one
super
after
reload?
another.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's not like a super short one like Generations. No, you don't get like that crazy reload that light bowgun used to have. But
do you get like the sniper shot thing where you're like sitting down and you're just going?
Yeah, basically you're just like kind of like loading. Like you've always seen like in cool like action movies, like this cutscene of some guy loading a bunch of bullets into a magazine. It's basically the same thing where you just kind of load them one after another, which is nice for when the monster starts walking away, not being actively attacked. Yeah, might as well take time and reload really every single ammo type in a row.
That's amazing.
And it's much better than...
Oh my god, this game.
The amount of times in previous games where I would accidentally switch off of my like normal 3 ammunition, and then when I click back to it, all the ammunition magically unloaded itself, and I'm like, that's gone.
Yeah.
So
it was really helpful
through ammo types.
Get rid of
it's
that.
Honestly, it's so funny to be playing this game. Like, I would stand by literally, I would die for Monster Hunter. I would explain to people to death how everything is perfect and they just don't understand. But I will say, I have to admit, when you get to this point, there are a lot of things that were just kind of strange that they were, implemented the way they were, and it was just how it was, and you just didn't think about it because that was Monster Hunter. And once you were in Monster Hunter, you had to be committed to Monster Hunter to be in Monster Hunter, and like we just didn't think about that stuff.
But it's overall, I'm glad. That's really all I had about bowguns. Like, just all the changes they made were very, very happy to me. In terms of, it's mostly just quality of life. We didn't get any crazy flashy new moves aside from the 2 special shots, which we still don't know if they're going to do more than those 2 shots. We might be, we might get something that's not rapid fire or long shot. We might get a 3rd or 4th special shot type. We don't know yet. But for now, we got everything pretty good. Like, there's nothing I really am sad about with the bowguns.
So, what's your next one?
My last one is, I didn't spend too much time with it, and I was going to do Gunlance, but we have a specifically Gunlance-centric person on this chat already, so I'm going to let him cover that one. I tried out Hunting Horn, and Hunting Horn made me pretty happy. There's not too dramatic changes, and somebody probably is going to correct me because I didn't spend too much time. But yeah, the biggest dramatic change is the whole queuing up multiple songs, then you can just kind of play them in one shot and then encore them all in one shot, which is great. I didn't get too much use out of it like during a fight because I only played solo, so sometimes there weren't that big of openings.
Right.
But in overall terms,
do you still feel that it was faster in some ways?
Oh, it's definitely
a little bit faster. Yeah, the animations felt faster. Playing of songs felt a little bit faster, which is great.
That's definitely what it needed.
But I'm gonna say not much changed otherwise. Like I was talking about,
as far as actual
all the
fighting.
Animations are different and stuff.
Yeah.
No, Hammer or what did I just say? Hunting Horn. Nope, everything is still real good. Everything's still fine, and that's good because a Hunting Horn is still. I would pay money to have a Hunting Horn in every single hunting party I go into. At this point,
it's funny.
I'd love it. Every fight I had a Hunting Horn with me.
It's funny, Hunting Horn, to me, even though it's such a strange moveset, like the uppercut backwards, the double hit from the right side, they're all really weird, but all of those moves, they have some of the greatest hitboxes ever, for hitting things in general. It's like head height on your hunter across a very wide range of area, and it always does a fair amount of damage.
I joked with my friend that the Hunting Horn moveset, like where everything swings at what heights and everything, is specifically designed to hit a Rathalos in the face 100% of the time, every time.
Whether it's in the air or on the ground.
Yeah.
Because it comes from the ground and it hits up in the air.
Yep.
One thing that I want to point out with the hunting horn, that would just in general I'm seeing on the sub and just even my friends talking about it. It's cool to have a hunting horn in your party. By no means should you ever pressure people into playing hunting horn because you need a buff. I'm just saying, I've seen that a lot. A lot of people are like, well, we need a hunting horn in the party for the buffs, and you're going to be the hunting horn. It's like relegating someone to the healer in D&D, okay? You don't really need everyone to have a hunting horn.
And even a hunting horn isn't something I would force someone into, because you need to know, you have to understand positioning as a hunting horn. You have to understand how to hit something in the face and how the monster moves, and please don't ever use the forward slam attack when there's a bunch of people near you, because they will all go away.
Well, I was actually going to say something about tripping in general too, but that's something we can leave until after the weapons. And one of the big things that I saw about hunting horn, well, two big things. There is the fact that you can see what buttons give you what notes on screen.
Yes.
And a really nice little one note, both the double note thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too much different from the button inputs they've been doing with the other weapons on screen. So.
Oh, yeah. But the fact that you can see the button songs, in the note is so different from what we've ever had.
Yeah.
Because you could have the map. You could have that little map of notes in the newer game, in Double Cross, I think.
I haven't used hunting.
I think it was on the bottom
since
screen.
Freedom Unite. So
it was bottom screen. Okay.
Yeah, it was a bottom screen, but it also listed your songs.
Yeah.
My main thing is, so many times mid hunt in previous games, I'd bring a hunting horn and then be like, okay, how do I play the song again? Or even worse, which note's the blue note? Which note's the orange note?
Let me go into my menu. Let me go into my equipment. Let me go left, so I go to the back page. Oh no, there's nothing on this page because it's only on a single page, and they still have the extra page. Let me go back another page. Okay,
and then you
there
get
they
hit
are.
by the Diablos that kills you.
Yellow, red. Go out of the menu. Yellow. Oh shoot! Go back to the menu. Go back to equipment. Go back into page. Go back another page.
Was it XA or XA that gives me the red note? I don't remember.
Yeah, I end up just kind of throwing out notes, seeing what pops up. I'm like, that's the damage one. I needed the attack one. I needed a double note of the original white. I'm good.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to say about the hunting horn was besides that was the fact that the recitals do so much damage. Holy moly.
Yeah, that was insane.
It's like 40 damage every swing in the recital, because you do 10 to 15 or 15 to 20 damage on every swing, but then there's like a secondary blast of noise, like a little mini sonic boom, that it did like an additional 20 damage. And that doesn't happen on the normal moves. It seems like something that's kind of supposed to encourage you to be on the offensive with hunting horn.
Yeah, stop people from playing.
Because you do so much damage when you recite, which is actually really good. I'm actually happy that they wanted to give you something that encouraged you to attack while reciting.
I think it's because they were trying to differentiate it between, they were trying to make it a weapon that's not just a hammer with sound. So they're trying to give everything a little bit more. Kind of like a switch axe is not just a magical greatsword; it's now a berserker sword.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so far I'm really happy with every single weapon. There's a few I'm not sure about, but we'll talk about those later.
Yeah. That's all I had for hunting horn. Just a small note.
Okay. So I'm gonna move on to a weapon that is the only other full impact weapon in the game, which is hammer. It is my kind of main, because I say kind of now because I'm pretty sure there's going to be like all 14 that I'm willing to main. My goodness. I knew you were going to link that. Lubrin just linked a beautiful, beautiful video of two guys that sink a very amazing hammer smash onto the head of the Gerudodos. Hammer has some of the greatest impact noise now. Somehow, it doesn't look like it should. It doesn't look like it is, but once you feel the weapon, and I've played Hammer enough that I know when you're letting go of the button, and I know when everything's hitting. I know how the timing works, that it feels really good.
Yeah.
just watching it.
Also, the KO sparkles are a lot more obvious now, and I like that.
I kind of disagree.
I thought that was interesting. Well,
I thought they were less obvious.
So
Really?
I'm gonna say that I'm on Labyrinth's side for that, mostly because it makes the sparkles, but there's also like a independent like movement with that you see, and there's like an extra sound that you hear afterwards, and you still kind of had that with the hammer in other games.
Mm-hmm.
But impact in general has like a secondary noise when you're using impact damage, not KO damage. It has a secondary noise sound.
That
so
high
you know that you're using an impact. Yeah, it goes like ting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting noise to add to a flat thing smashing into meat. But it sounds.
Yeah, it's an audio
different.
cue. Just letting you know
it's still an audio cue. Yeah. And I don't know why, but the amount of movement the camera gets when you do a lot of things with hammer is crazy now. There's like almost a zoom on some moves. Kind of like how Charge Blade, when you do the ultra super amped elemental discharge 2000, the camera stretches back and it throws you forward. It feels really good. And there's so much screen shake with the hammer because every move is just heavy. It's great. I think they did something with the hitboxes on hammer because it seems like it just hits more. There's just more stuff that it's hitting. Like, it just seems bigger. I see hammer's hitbox as like a giant square on the end of a tiny little stick. And right now it's just like a huge square, like a huge cube that's just kind of moving around you. Because it definitely seems to reach a lot farther, which is good. I'm actually really happy about that. Because I do think that its swings going into a golf swing are honestly really awkward. The hammer, in general, its moveset is very strange. It's very small and it's very close, but it feels good when you use it. And it seems like they've definitely given a lot more distance, which is awesome.
How do you like the new circle attacks from what you've seen?
Okay, so that's the other thing.
Nailing a hammer in, or putting a nail into a board.
So two of the big things that I wanted to talk about is that, which is the Big Bang. It is a very interesting move that if you don't know what it does and you test it at the beginning of the hunt, you're probably never going to use it because all you do is go, and then it sits on the ground for a really long time as you reach up.
Oh yeah, one at a time.
It reminds me of the so you know how aerial hammer in Generations is horrible because you can do the double smash where you lift it up over your head and smack the ground?
Yeah.
That is the Big Bang animation. Because when you hit the ground without there being anything, you go, and then you pick up the hammer really slowly, and it's the exact same animation.
Yeah, that's the one you have to hit for it to keep going. Yeah.
Yep. And it's just like how in aerial, you had to hit that move, had this really weird awkward wind up in the air, and you had to smack the thing and actually hit it to keep doing the hit. And they've basically taken that and said, how do we make this actually remotely fun? And they went, why don't we just have the guy stand on the ground, go bink, and then if he gets that connection, he swings a little bit harder the second time, it does a little bit more damage. He does it again, it does more damage. He does it again, it does more damage. And then he does a huge swing and smashes the ground really hard, and it looks cool. That's the new one.
It feels good to use. I would say that it is probably. It used to be like, oh, they're down. I'm going to just keep mashing the full charge pound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's no longer viable. That takes too long. Now you just use circle, pink, 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 pink. It's like, holy cow! Like you're just going ham. So I think that's what it's used for now. I did use it a couple times while the monster was moving and got lucky, but
I actually didn't use the hammer this time around because I'm not good at it. I know that sounds so bad.
How dare you?
I can't hammer. I think it's
how.
I don't know.
I swear, you literally just push X and it does cool shit.
I think it's because I played Hunting Horn before I ever played Hammer, and Hunting Horn has 3 times the reach of a hammer.
Yeah, I was gonna say the hammer has a challenge in the fact that you have to be close and you have to be mobile. So like as far as any weapon goes, the hammer is by far the one with the least commitment. Like you are so much more hit and run than any other weapon.
And you can have besides greatsword, like, greatsword you can hit and run, but the fact is you still have to sit in a spot for 5 seconds to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, but that's a lot of commitment.
Hammer,
right?
You
hammer, you can go like this. Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Greatsword has that commitment still.
Yeah.
Hammer, you go, I'm going to hit him over there, and I'm going to do a ton of damage. Let me just start charging my hammer. And then once I get to him, I just unload a whole bunch of damage on him.
And then peace out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can just roll out of the way, and you can continue on.
Yeah.
Rathalos and Raytheon are notorious for being utterly destroyed by running up behind it, waiting for it to turn, unleashing a level 3 charge, super pound, rolling out of the way, and watching it do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
Because you can.
I've just tried it multiple times, and I can't make it work. That's just a personal thing for me, is I just am flawed.
If you get this on PC, I will teach you the ways, which is just like pushing X a lot. Or not X. Oh god, this is going to be weird.
It's going to be pushing...
It's not X.
Right click?
Triangle. Because that's the double slam gulf swing.
Yeah.
It seemed like double slam gulf swing still did similar damage. It might have done a little bit less, but I think a lot of people still might use it just because you can get the gulf swing out much faster than finishing the Big Bang. Because you need to know you can finish the Big Bang.
Yeah.
But lastly, man, I am so excited for this hammer. I gotta stop. There's a whole nother side of the hammer that they've kind of given you, which is the fact that you can actually push, I think it's circle when you're charging up the hammer, and you put the charge into the hammer, which is super useful because you can actually, you get like a whole unlock of different chargeable attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And now what you can do is, the initial little, like, the first charge, you kind of just go, you do a little swing, and then you slam the ground.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of to change the combo together after a gulf swing or a second slam or a super pound.
Right.
It was just kind of there. Now, when you have that charge, you do like the little swing, and then you fully extend your arms and do like a backwards gulf swing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you do, I think 2/3 of the damage you would do with a gulf swing, which is ridiculous.
Right, especially for level 1, yeah.
Yeah, you just pull, and it's actually viable to continue the combo through like that, which is amazing.
So, Fortuan, you played Hammer more than I did, I'm assuming, in the demo.
Yeah.
Is it easier to hit monsters with the big attack when they're sleeping with the hammer? Because every time I try to wake up a sleeping monster with a hammer in old games, I always accidentally hit it with, like, the first part of the swing and do, like, tiny amounts of damage.
So what you do, this is how I do it. What you do is you get up to the monster and you turn to the left. You slam next to his head, like you slam in front of him. And then that gulf swing, it can hit the ground like at your right foot.
Oh,
and that's
okay.
where you want your foot to be. You basically, like, if you were in front of a Rathalos kind of curled up, you put your foot like on his face and you hit outside of him. Like you turn away from him almost.
Okay.
You slam the ground and then you basically bring it up from your toe. And that's where you hit his face.
In this one, I never made the mistake of hitting him on the wind-up when they were sleeping. So this is... the only thing that ever happened with was Anjanath. Everything else I killed before it went to sleep.
Okay.
So Anjanath, and he sleeps in that sort of forest netting area, the tree netting. And it doesn't seem like it was any different from before, but when I used to do it, I just know the distance that you have to be, because when you do slam, it's a little bit further ahead than on the wind-up. Mm-hmm. So I've always just known the distance, and I just translated that into Monster Hunter World. So I just did it the right way.
You can do... Sorry.
It was the only time that really came up is when I soloed Anjanath with the hammer. So like I mentioned before, I didn't kill Anjanath with every weapon, but any time that I soloed, I did. So that was Charge Blade, Longsword, sword and shield, dual blades, and hammer and lance. I think those 6. All the other ones I never soloed him with, just because I was playing with friends and I just decided to play with them instead of on my own, which again is surprising to me considering I've been on my own for majority of my hunts since the past 6 years. So
yeah, it's funny. The hammer, I think we may have a new king of its damage output when something's sleeping. So instead of the golf swing to the upswing golf swing, when you're waking it up, I think it may be that the supercharged triple charge, so once you have that charge in your hammer, the triple charge then when you're stationary is going to be the new thing. Because you kind of do the Big Bang move, and I think it does a little bit more damage on the last slam into the ground, because you kind of do 3 hits all in a head range direction, a head range area, which is good. Because it needs higher hits. You kind of swing down, you spin around, you swing across mid-chest level, and then you slam it directly down into the ground, and it does a lot of damage. I didn't look specifically, but I think it was doing more damage than the Gulf Swing, which almost disappoints me because I've always felt cool thinking that I was using the meta because everyone used charges, and I would never charge, I'd just go Gulf Swinging all the time.
Right.
But also, it makes sense that this move would do so much.
Yeah, because you're basically, instead of triple charging your hammer, you're basically 6 times.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, technically, you can charge. You can go into that charge state immediately by pushing O as soon as you start charging, and it still does the same thing, which is funny. You don't get knocked out of the charge. It's like dual blades, except without the stamina loss.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get knocked out of the charge unless you are flinched or you put away your weapon. Which is awesome.
I will take note that you're talking about when it's sleeping, GOG, you use the golf swing. I use the level 3 pound from the charge when something's sleeping.
Golf swing does more damage in the other games.
Well, yeah, I know it does, but it's also harder to pull off, which is...
Well, maybe you're just not good enough, so... No, I'm kidding. It's much easier to do the super pound. Sometimes I just do it because I'm lazy.
I was gonna say,
especially if it is Rathalos, because sometimes his face is at the right angle. If he's in the D Island map, Deserted Island, he sleeps in the cave or on that kind of cliff side, that cliff section, and he is in a area where his face kind of clips into the ground and it's tilted upwards. So you can't actually hit his face unless you're at a perfect angle, and I can't find that angle. So I usually just super pound him then. But most of the time, if he's on a flat surface, I do the thing where I put my toe on his face and I smash the ground next to him.
I will say that I don't think I have anything to worry about because I soloed all of 3U on the Wii U with the hammer. So
Really?
I have no qualms that I am not good with hammer.
Oh no, I never thought that you were bad with hammer.
Yeah.
You've played much more Monster Hunter than me.
What's
the
that?
Last move.
Sure.
Last move. I know we talked about hammer way too much. I love it. Oh, it's so good. The last thing that was that second supercharged charge. The normal uppercut becomes this thing that you kind of had in Adept and Brave, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this crazy, supersonic, throw the hammer in the air as fast as possible uppercut. And your guy literally lifts off the ground. There's a poof sound when he does it. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's just an updated animation for the old one.
Oh,
honestly.
man.
But it looks so much cooler.
Makes it beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
that's cool.
Gonna have better motion values too.
I think the hammer's damage is actually boosted when you're in that supercharged state, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So, what was your second weapon?
My second weapon that I wanted to speak about was Gun Lance, which is something I could also go on for forever, but I'm trying not to. I will try not to. It won't happen. Anyway, I thought it was funny to actually see the Gun Lance, what it could do. I had seen little bits and pieces of demos before this beta, and I'd noticed some combos that no one had tried to use that I was really excited to see if they actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you how happy I was to find out that they did. One of the things that I had seen was someone did a quick reload and they fully reloaded their weapon.
Yep.
And I saw that they could combo into the upswing afterwards, which meant that they could go into the slam and full burst.
And infinitely reload and slam and full burst.
Yes. Because I had also seen when someone full bursted, you could go into a wide sweep.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what that wide sweep can combo into.
Everything
Sure
else.
enough, it comboed into the full quick reload.
Yep.
And I was like, wait, put two and two together. You can continue through that sweep, reload, slam, explosion, sweep, reload, slam, explosion over and over again. And I bet it does tons of damage. The wide sweep does a ton of damage.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, generally, like, they always, in the previous games, the wide sweepy stuff, like, from Lance was like, you don't ever use this button, ever.
Yeah.
But everything seems to have a purpose on the gun Lance now, which is nice.
Oh, yeah. And, like, even the pokes, I don't think I'm ever going to use them because I think I'm just going to be exploding everything. Even the pokes do relatively good damage. I was seeing 20 as on every single poke, which was, I think, about as much as the Lance.
Yeah.
Which kind of bugs me to an extent that the Lance, which is predominantly that kind of attack, would do the same. You would think that it would maybe do a little bit more to give it an edge.
But the Lance is
also
a
has
more defensive is the trade-off.
Yeah, Lance has defense, it has mobility while doing the same thing. Gun Lance, you are putting yourself out there when you do stuff.
Yeah.
It always has been that way.
I was going to say, you looked over the biggest and the most important thing that makes me the happiest about Gun Lance. There's no more heat gauge, so that means that Roman hunting with Wyvern Fires is back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't have to care. I just have to wait for it to come back normally.
So
I don't need to min-max my gauge while paying attention to my shells while stabbing and shooting at the same time and trying to keep it balanced in the right place.
I mean,
it's just 2 pixels away from the edge, so then I can full burst Wyvern Fire. So then the Wyvern Fire thing slides a little bit and it stays in the red, and then I'll be okay to do that for 10 minutes, and then I have to reset it again.
I mean, I that was the only thing that made Gun Lance interesting to me in the previous generations.
How dare
was the
you?
heat gauge.
So,
I mean, it's not that I don't like Gun Lance now. I do. And I'm glad that, it's not going to be hindered, because that was a hindering mechanic more so than a benefit, which I think that was the thing. It was supposed to make it more interesting and be like, hey, it's bonus damage, but everyone saw it as a negative damage, which, I mean, eventually was a negative damage as far as motion value.
Oh, sorry. Here's my issue with the heat gauge, though. It would be like in Switch Axe, if you used your axe mode too much, you got locked into a weaker, if you used the sword mode too much, you would burn it out and get locked into a weaker axe mode for 2 minutes before you could reload.
Stupid.
Yeah, they were trying to fix a play style that was sort of breaking what their idea of the weapon was. By punishing you for it. And you know what? That's not the best way to do it. So it is gone. But, like I said, it's the thing that made it interesting, because it made it a more complex weapon. That's why I like the Charge Blade, because it was a more complex weapon. One thing I did want to mention is that actually it was very hard for me to figure out how to do the slam, because it's not part of the usual combo anymore. It's a different input.
Yeah, you have to upswing.
Which that took me forever to figure out, because I love the slam full burst. That's all I ever did. I felt like it was like slam full burst and Gun Lance. So this one, it was like, why am I not slamming? Like, I'm just doing. Oh, it doesn't work that way.
I'm just poking.
Anymore. Yeah. So that was basically the only thing I had to say about Gun Lance is, it was hard for me to use, because I was. Like other things, I was sort of locked into the old mentality about it, but I don't think that detrimented it as much as the Charge Blade fell so hard for me.
I remember, so speaking of that combo that I was talking about, I remember seeing a video Social Dissonance made. He was streaming, and they knocked Rathalos down the waterfall, and he landed alone because he had done it alone, and they were all catching up to him. And he was down there next to the tail, and he was always hitting the end of the tail, so he was doing max damage with all of the physical attacks.
Yeah.
And he was doing, like, 30 to 40 damage with the slam. He was doing the full burst, which was 18s all around, which is insane. But also, it's a level 3 shelling of normal, so we'll see how that really balances in the game. It may be actually really weak. Then he was going into the wide sweep. He was doing 40 damage. Then he was quick reloading, doing the little upswing. I couldn't see how much damage it was doing. And then he was going back, and I swear he was doing like 40 damage per second. It was crazy.
Yeah. They seem very strong now, which is good after a couple games of it not being great.
So this is the issue. The fact that shells are independent of the raw has always been something that for some reason the developers cannot understand, and they can't comprehend how to balance those. They can't figure it out. So whenever they go, oh, we need to boost shells, they go, wait, that means we got to make something really bad so it balances out. And that's not what they need to do. They just got to make them work together in tandem, like everything else.
I don't know if you saw this. People are
It's related to the sharpness, correct?
No, not just that. They're thinking that it's not fixed damage anymore. Not only because it changes with sharpness, but also changes with people using demon drugs or people getting buffs from hunting horn. It was changing.
I saw a stream. They took the little demon drug thing, and it still did 16 damage on a single shot.
It's just what I was seeing from a couple different posts. So
I mean, we did have all those things about people running and walking when drinking potions, so maybe we'll see.
Either way, I'm excited for more details. Obviously, they come out.
Running, I never saw any running while drinking potions.
I did. Yeah. You can if you tried to run while drinking the potion. I think it's near the end of the animation. You can kind of start running. It's like once you're emptying the bottle into your mouth, you can start moving a little bit faster.
I think that's just ending.
Yep.
I don't think that's running while drinking. That's a total different context.
It's like as they're emptying the bottle, they kind of can start jogging as they're finishing up the last of the heal.
All right.
Which isn't horrible. I mean.
But that's different from the connotation that you can run while drinking a potion.
Oh yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a we're kind of both right. We need to stop arguing about it kind of thing for all those people that have been arguing about it.
Yeah.
I do want to point out though, with again us being freed from a heat gauge and Charge Blade getting their being able to do their AED more often. I don't know what it's actually called now, but the Ultra Slam more often, and everybody getting new cool looking moves. We're gonna see more Monster Hunter Mad videos come back.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And now instead of being kind of 3DS quality, which is not great, we're gonna be able to see
Freedom
them
Unite, which was the original.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to see Mad videos back in nice HD quality, 1080p, 4K, or whatever.
Well, on PC.
Well, even PS4, we're still going to see really high quality
videos again. The PS4 Pro can do some serious...
Yeah, and PS4, however, has had some problems right now with optimization. But
especially since...
That's something we can also go into afterwards.
Yeah, but especially since you no longer need to, have a third-party modification to record your 3DS anymore. So you can just record natively on PS4.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was saying.
We're going to get a lot of cooler stuff now. And more
content. That's why I'm going to have I'm just going to turn on the Twitch stream whenever I'm playing just because I can. Not because I'm someone super important and you should be watching me. I can just go back and look at all my hunts. Like that's it. That's all I can do. That's all I'm doing it for.
The last weapon. Oh, well, there was one more thing. The Gunlance got a new move. It's Wyvern Stake. It's cool looking. It makes an explosion. Yay. It does cutting damage at first because someone cut off a tail with it. And then it has an explosion of 40 damage. Doesn't seem that crazy strong to me. It's also kind of a thing that you have to end your combo with. Like, you can't continue through the combo. But that's okay. It looks cool. People liked it. Great.
Yep.
So I decided to kind of talk about two at once because they're not 100% big ones I want to talk about, just a few things about them. First of all, I wanted to talk about how dual blades seem to be very strong.
Oh, yeah.
The damage output on them is incredible.
Yeah.
I took down Great Jagras. So this is offline. I did not record this. But I took down Great Jagras the fastest with dual blades, and I am not good with dual blades. Now, granted, it's sort of along the same lines of longsword. If you know what you're doing, you could just sort of keep on the offensive just by dodging the right ways. And I feel like I had a near perfect game against Jagras, just like coincidentally. So I think I did it sub a minute 20.
Wow.
Which was really good for me. Now, granted, it's not a record or anything. People were, almost under a minute. So
yeah,
it's not super impressive, but it was for me.
When I was seeing speedruns come out, they were all dual blades because just the damage output is crazy. The Demon Dance by itself, I was seeing people doing 6s and 5s. Granted, it's with dual blades and they're hitting 20 times a second.
Yeah,
6s and 5s on the weak spots. So seeing that's like 70 damage through a Demon Dance.
It reminds me of 3U, where Demon Dance wasn't just something you used to fill your bar, but it did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for a while that kind of went away, but I think it's kind of coming back. The only thing is that the weapon is so maneuverable now, it's ridiculous.
By the way, the falling down the stairs feels so great.
I never got to pull that off.
I've never thought falling down the stairs would feel so good.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. You Attack on Titan, that crap where you like slash across the body when you aerial through the air.
It's the sliding attack. So if you're sliding,
I want to talk about sliding attacks in general too.
There's not really much to say. It's just another. It's like a movement option. They're all special attacks, but
that's kind
of why the only one that really felt that notable was the dual blades, to be at least. All the other ones, they're fine, they're cool, but like I think the dual blades is really the only one that was like holy cow, and the hammer too. The hammer does the super spin, but the hammer, you don't roll down his back, you just hit him a lot.
Yeah, the dual blades, you get magnetized to their back and do a ton of damage no matter what. Everything else is like, hey, I hit the monster once. Okay, continue.
Yeah, I mean the charge blade, depending on if you're in sword or axe mode, the same way with switch axe. Both of them have different animations, but yeah, there's not much to say about the sliding one. But continue with the dual blade.
The other thing, there is a sprint that you can do now with them. You Naruto run around pretty fast, which is good because you can move around really fast.
Helps you keep on.
It's also kind of interesting because it's like they basically decided, okay, you're losing stamina as you're using this weapon. Why not make it worth it by being able to run while you're using that stamina? Which I think is cool. I'm not sure how I feel about a lot of the combos it has. Like, some of its combos are incredibly maneuverable. Other combos that it had, like Demon Dance, where you were stuck in that position wherever you were standing for like a good 5 seconds.
I noticed the rotation, like the general rotation people did in Archdemon form is different now. Because it used to be like you do like triangle 2 or 3 times, and then you'd switch over to circle to follow it up with a triple or with a double jumping slash thing.
Yeah, you sort of set it up and end it. Set it up and end it. Yeah.
Yeah, the dual blades have the attacks have completely changed. The style of how they attack is completely different. The movement in which, like the movement of the attacks is much different. In the original one, you basically were stuck in one place for a good long time. If you started it, you were pretty much committed. You would jump in the air and do a flurry of slashes. You kind of like spin in the air. And you were stuck there. You were committed. But it gave you a lot of demon gauge, which was what was so useful. The other weapon that I wanted to talk about was bow. And that was mostly because it's kind of interesting what's been happening to it. Bow has a lot of cool maneuverable movement, like dodges, where you can dodge and chain charges together, which is cool.
Yeah, and dodge into a level 3 charge.
Juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might need Mega Dash Juice to make it worthwhile, but even now it still looks kind of cool. The only thing I noticed was just how extremely strong the Dragon Piercer attack was, and I have a few thoughts about that. Not only is it the strongest attack, doing about 70 to 100 damage per attack if you were hitting like Rathalos directly between the eyes, it was also not taking that much stamina. What happens is you start off taking stamina, and then as you're charging it, going, you're not taking any more stamina. It just sits there. And when you fire it, you gain back a little bit, and then you go into the animation again if you want to. Because you basically slash the ground with it, go, that all takes stamina. And then when you're sitting going, whoop, and you're powering it up, that takes no stamina. I don't know why, but it doesn't. And it doesn't take enough for it to be a detriment, besides the fact that you're sitting there.
It is a long time, though, that you're
it is.
taking
It really is. The only problem with that is that if you're not solo and you have 3 other people attacking the monster, it's incredibly easy to just fire it over and over again. And you're doing 100 damage per shot. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I think... I don't think it's overly broken because it is taking a long time to do. It's sitting in one place. It's like siege mode.
I believe it's about 4 seconds to fire off one shot with that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot.
As we were mentioning
that means
before,
it's 25 damage per second.
You have some people who can do 70 damage hits every second. So I think it's just because that's a big number, it might be a little deceptive as to how much damage it's doing.
Well, that was kind of what I wanted to go into. That does a lot of damage. It seems incredibly broken. But the fact that it takes so long, and that the actual attacks that you normally did with bow, level 3 charge, you hit 30 damage. And that's not much at all. Bow seems severely underpowered in this beta.
Is it 30 damage per hit? Because the charge attack is a rapid fire, so there's 3 actual hits there.
Yeah, there was 3 actual hits, and they were each hitting 10.
Okay, that's when you said hits for 30, I thought you meant saw one pop up that said 30.
90, 90, 90.
No,
that would be insane.
The strength in the bow. So I use the bow quite a bit also. The strength in the bow is the fact that you're still a ranged weapon, right? So you are going to stay a little more safe than the Blade Masters, which is not a thing anymore. But whatever, you're going to stay. You're going to stay relatively more safe than the melee people, and on top of that, the way that I saw that worked the best, and the way that I started doing it eventually, is that just spamming one type of attack isn't going to do the job.
Okay.
What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to set up with a level 3 charge, right? This is sort of just, it's always been a thing with a bow. I'm charging, I shoot, right? So you follow up with a couple special attacks after that. So they pull the bow sideways and they hit him with 3 arrows. And then if you immediately press circle again, it then shoots a balloon shot that drops all those things out of the sky.
Yeah. And that's the way that you want to start comboing, I guess.
Yeah, and then if you have the time, you've started to expend your stamina, right? Then you drag your arrow into that long shot, which helps you regain that stamina because of the animation. So at least that's how I was doing it. Because,
interesting.
So it's a combo weapon now, and that's
okay. Yeah.
That's really where the strength lies in it, and you can get decent amount of damage. Now, granted, again, this is because it was a great Jagras and I was by myself, but the bow was also one of my lower times because I was having so much fun, just like shoot, special shot, dodge, shoot, special shot, and eventually I just started pecking with no charging, right? Because I ran out of stamina. That's the drawback. Is stamina is going to be your crutch for this weapon, but you can mitigate it, by something in the other animations for the combos. So I think bow is a lot stronger than what people have been giving it credit for. Just personally, I actually, like I said, I never could get into the bow in the previous games, even though I like the idea of it. Like I could really get into the bow on this one if I feel like not. I keep saying like, oh, it's gonna be my backup weapon, but you guys have heard me talk about this all the time. I was a one weapon guy, and this game, I am not gonna be a one weapon guy. I don't think. And bow is, if I go ranged, bow is going to be my thing because like it felt so good.
I will say that the ranged weapons are all definitely being improved. I think all the weapons have been extremely improved.
Well, for me personally, I don't think the charge blade was that improved, but that's just me.
What were you gonna say, Lobo?
I did want to point out, I think the bow is more interesting and more fun now. Even though I'm not gonna be using bow probably. I'm probably gonna stick to my main 3 I pointed out plus longsword. But I think my thing mainly was the fact that as a bow previously, the ideal way to play wasn't even just ideal. It was just the only way to play, which is charge level 3, shoot it, and then power shot. So, charge, bang, bang, charge, bang, bang, charge, bang. Like, that's all
and
bow gameplay was.
To me, that was the most boring thing in the world.
So now you can be like, charge, bang, power shot for a spread shot, dropping shot, cool dragon fire thing, quick shot. Like, they give you much more things.
There's a lot more tools. Yeah.
It's really cool to me that they're giving, like, it's really unique that it's a ranged weapon that you're comboing into different moves. Like, that's really cool, honestly, because you don't think that you would ever do that.
And that's the only reason, by the way, that I was lamenting crouching fire for heavy bowguns for a while, is because it's just a button they took away. Because how many different options do you have as gun? Shoot and reload.
I mean, I feel
that's the thing though. Even in normal like FPS shooters, you shoot, you reload. There isn't like a cool different way you shoot the weapon.
Yeah, which they did give light bowgun that new little mine thing they can do as well. I'd forgotten to mention that, but that's a cool thing too. Every video I've seen of it's like, that's kind of nice.
It's extremely damaging too.
I didn't like it.
I know some people will enjoy it. Some people will just be like, eh.
Yeah, it's like, the only time I felt it was useful if the monster was downed. And granted, I never played light bowgun not by myself. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was. It's interesting, I'll say that, but it didn't feel like it was very useful unless you had like a huge opportunity for like it was downed or that kind of thing. And I almost felt like I would just rather keep shooting if it was downed than instead of running up and sacrificing some of that time for setup.
I saw so many people.
One of the things that I saw. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I saw so many people flinching Diablos and stuff with it because not only does you shooting it set it off, but anytime a monster steps on it, it shuts it off. So they would set it up in preparation for a monster running over to them. Because solo, the monster's always gonna be chasing after you, so you can kind of use it as a dancing point.
Well, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm the end all on this kind of stuff. It was just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a group of people. They all used the light bowgun, and they all set them down.
Yeah.
I never thought about doing that, and I was like, why has no one done this? This is crazy. You got 12 of these things sitting in one spot, and it's just going every time. That's very cool.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that that happened with me, I mentioned earlier, with the triple heavy bowgun, was everyone at once used their special like rapid heavy bowgun shot, like the Gatling gun fire. That was amazing. It was like I don't know, some sort of movie like watching Terminator where like all the tracer bullets are just flying across the battlefield.
Oh yeah.
And it was like 3 just lines of bullets slamming into Baroth when that happened. It was so cool.
It's just, I think the improved visuals are going to help everything. By the way, GOG, that dragon fire shot that Bo has, I'm just imagining how many times that is going to show up in a MAD for like when a Rathalos is firing directly at somebody and they let the last second to do a, the very last second.
And watch it fly straight through their entire body too. That'll be crazy.
So we didn't really have a lot much to say about the other weapons that may come up later. Even though I did play all the weapons, and of course GOG, you saw all the weapons, and Lober, I'm pretty sure you're at least aware of all the changes. We didn't have a lot to say about the other ones. Not that they aren't changed or they aren't significant or anything, but I think we just wanted to, partially for time and that kind of stuff, just sort of keep it down. We were going to talk about just the demo in general and the monsters and all that kind of stuff, but I think we're actually going to kind of split that up into other podcasts because there's just so much to talk about. And today was just like weapons that we really focused on. We only did 9 weapons, and we pretty much filled up 2 hours. So
it's crazy.
Well, not like we're not like we talk really short about any subject either. So I think we're just going to end it here today. So thank you, hunters, for joining us. And we'll see you next quest.
Adios, all.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today, hunters. You can catch our latest episodes on SoundCloud, and everything else you can catch on Reddit, Google Drive Download, and YouTube.